Right. So we've used we've implemented inheritance. We've implemented one-to-many. Let's take a look at something a little more advanced, right? So say we want to be able to have maybe a many-to-many relationship, right? So maybe several students enroll in many sections, and one section might have many students. How would you go about that doing that, right? So there's two particular ways that can be implemented, depending on what is it that you want to capture about that association, right? Notice that in UML, you can capture it in two different ways. You can implement it, if you have a student, enrolled in multiple sections, right? To implement that, you could either do this, right, where you have an enrollment, right, and that enrollment has references back to each one of the other two, and says that this student, right, is enrolled in this section, and these are foreign keys pointing to each one of these, right? And the way you would capture that is that this is a one-to-many like that, right? That's how you would capture it in UML, one-to-many. Yes. And obviously you have the ID here as primary key and ID here primary key. That's one implementation, right? And usually we call this a mapping table, right? This table is just basically mapping all the students, mapping them to the equivalent section. The other alternative is that if you have additional fields here, if you have additional fields such as you want to know while you were enrolled in that section, right? What grade did you get? What grade did you get, right? Or a review maybe. What did you think about that section that you did over there, right? In that case, typically we would document that in UML by using an association class, right, as opposed to a mapping table. Now they're implemented the same way, right? In SQL, in SQL, it would be implemented the same exact way. The only difference is that in the mapping table, you would only have foreign keys, and that's it. Right? But if you're in an association where you have additional fields that are not foreign keys, you would just have new additional columns, right, to capture that information. But you would document it in UML using different graphics. Make sense? Yes. But in SQL, the implementation would be the same. Now, whether you're using one or the other, whether you're using a mapping table or you're using an association, they're actually implemented differently in Java, okay, depending which way you're going to go. First, let's look at the mapping table, right, which is a slightly simpler implementation. Let's look at that.